The pedal note for the left hand is played with the fifth finger, and then the off beats are played with the thumb. Welcome back to another tutorial here on the Jazzmentl YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about Herbie Hancock's Dolphin Dance. We're going to do a few things. I looked around the internet for some sheet music for solo piano, and I couldn't find any. So in this video, I'm going to introduce to you the sheet music that I actually arranged myself, and I'll tell you at the end of this video how to get your hands on that. We're going to refer to that sheet music throughout the tutorial. Let's put it up on the screen now. So let's play it from the beginning. I do want to point out that very first chord. This is the same chord voicing that Herbie plays on the album. It's got this seventh of the E flat major seventh chord on top, and then fourth below that. So C, F, and B flat. I like putting in this eighth note at the beginning of the pickup measure because it signifies that it's swing. Might be a good idea when you practice this to play the hands separately. Anyway, let's play the first four bars again. I did briefly want to talk a little bit about the history. Herbie was 24 when he recorded this, and it was on an album called Maiden Voyage. If you get the chance to check it out, you can obviously just look for it on YouTube and find it. The tune is definitely ahead of its time for 1965. It was like the beginning of the modal era and the post-bop era, whereas bebop had a lot of tonal centers to it. Modal music kind of floats around a little bit, and this is a prime example of that. So let's take a look at the form first and show you what you're up against if you're going to learn this tune. First, you've got 4 bars off the top, and those 4 bars really seem like part of the melody. It doesn't seem like an introduction. And the reason for that is because at the end of the tune, there's 4 bars that are similar to that, which use different chords. And then when you repeat, it comes back to A because those 4 bars are already played. Even though they're not the same, they're very similar. So the A section is 12 bars. That in and of itself is a little bit different. Then the B section is 8 bars, and then the C section is 10 bars. Now, the thing I wanted to point out is because there's a lot of these pedal notes happening. For example, in the very second bar, you've got D flat major 7 over E flat. You've got that E flat pedal happening. Now, playing that root and then the fifth on every other eighth note is a way to make that pedal sound more interesting and keep the time going. And then when we get to the A section, try to pay attention to the chords because, like I said, there's no real tonal center. It just kind of floats between chords. So C minor 7 to A flat 7 is not a typical progression. Interesting, right? C minor 7 to A flat 7, back to C minor, and then a 2-5 of G major. It's like, it's really all over the place, but it does work in terms of the melody. And that, of course, brings us to the end of the A section. Now, like I said before, when you get to those pedal notes, for example, in this bar, F minor 7, from this point on, you've got pedal notes happening. So keeping that left hand doing this rhythm. I would say that the only way to deal with that harmonically is to just memorize where the changes go. I did briefly want to point out this D7 chord here. It's definitely a nice chord in the right hand. If you listen to that chord, it bites a little bit. And the left hand keeps the rhythm going. Dotted quarter note to eighth note, tied to a quarter note, and then a quarter note at the end. You'll find that rhythm exists throughout the tune. And that's what's important about this tune. It's not just the fact that it's notes to play. You have to keep that halftime feel going, not just in the left hand, but in both hands as well. So now's a good time to stop and just ask you to do one little thing. If you could reach down, hit the thumbs up button, it really helps this video reach a wider audience, and I super appreciate you doing that. Of course, if you want to subscribe, you can do that too. Just hit the little bell when you do, and we'll notify you of all the upcoming tutorials that we're making. All right, let's get back into it. Okay, I've scrolled down a little bit to the B section. It starts on a G major 7th chord, but then very quickly uses that G as a pedal note throughout the entire first 4 bars of B section, and then it switches to F. So we're going from G down a whole tone to F and playing different types of chords over top. Now these chord voicings are a combination of tertian voicings, in other words, voiced in thirds, but there's also fourths as well. Things like this, where you've got the D minor 7th over G chord. It's a hollow sound. It's not a sound that seems to want to go anywhere. And these chords are not just prominent in this tune, they're prominent on the tune Maiden Voyage and all the other tunes on the Maiden Voyage album. So let's play it from B section. Again, there's that left hand playing the thumb on the end of the beat. Interesting chord progression there at the end. So he's coming out of this modal section playing those pedal notes. First one over G and the second one over F. And then he does a 2-5 of D major right here at the end. And you would think that would go to D major, but it doesn't. It goes to an E flat 7 chord. So this is what I mean by there's no real tonal center. It just kind of floats between chords. There is a sheet music download link coming up. It's near the end of the video. I just wanted to point that out because if you're enjoying this tutorial and you want to learn these types of chords, then the sheet music is a great way to do that. So let's play it from here, bar 21, and hear that 2-5 at the end of that 4 bars. Lovely chord there. A13 flat 9, and then you've got this voicing. So really, if you take a look at the voicing, it is an F major chord here over E flat down here. And that's pretty typical of Herbie's voicings at the time. Now, I didn't want to get too much ahead of myself, but it's important at C section to play these block chords together. You'll notice that there's a lot of like rhythm going on in the melody, and the left hand is mirroring what the right hand is doing. Interesting. E7 to D minor to C minor 7th at the end. So I've scrolled the sheet music up a little bit. Let's play it from C, and we're going to play it right through till we get to this coda sign. And the reason why I'm going to stop there is because the last 4 bars are like the first 4 bars of the tune that is almost written like an intro. So let's play it from the C section. So you'll notice that those 4 bars are over the pedal note E, right through to here, to the coda sign. And again, the pedal note for the left hand is played with the 5th finger, and then the off beats are played with the thumb. Okay, let's go back and start here at the beginning of the coda with this D flat major 7th chord over E flat. So the bar before it is C major 7 over E, and you would think if he went down to E flat it would be B major 7 over E flat, but he doesn't. He changes it to D flat major over E flat. So interesting chord there on the B flat 7 flat 9 right here. I threw this voicing in there. I think it's nice because it contains not just the flat 9 but the 13 as well up here, and it's an interesting voicing. Okay, let's go back and take it from the C section one more time. So then when we do get back to the A section, it starts all over again. Now, A doesn't sound like the beginning of the tune. It's because those 4 bars that were the introduction were now the last 4 bars that we played before getting back to A. Okay, let's play the tune from the top. I'm going to have to scroll as I play this, so it's not going to be seamless, but let's give it a shot. And then we're at B. C section. Scroll a little bit so you can see it. We're now at the C sharp minor 7th chord. And then we have to repeat back to A and start the tune again. Now, there is a coda to this. I think it's important to point that out. And when you get to the coda sign in bar 35, I'll just highlight that a little bit right there. Then you skip to the coda, which is just 3 bars. And it keeps the rhythm going right till the end. I think it's a nice way to handle the ending. So let's go from bar 29, which is the C sharp minor 7th chord. And then the coda has the same chords. D6 over E. Now you can arpeggiate that last note if you want to. I put it in fourths, so you've got this D major 7th chord over E. Or do really any D major 7th chord you want to at that final note. Okay, so there's my arrangement of Dolphin Dance. It was arranged completely for solo piano. You don't need a bass player and a drummer for this one. That's the good thing about that arrangement. Let me put a sheet music link. I'm going to throw it up in that corner over there, and it's also in the description below. And I'm also going to post a coupon code so you can get it for a pretty significant discount. You won't know how much until you get there, but I think you're going to be surprised. I haven't actually made the video yet on how to solo over Dolphin Dance, but it is fun to do, and you're going to need some direction on how to handle this no tonal center, floating chords, fourths, patterns in the right hand. I'm going to make another video tutorial on how to do that. We've kind of run out of time on this video. As soon as that video is ready, I'm going to post it over here. It may be there already depending on when you watch this video, but if it's not there yet, it's because I haven't made it yet. But it will be there shortly, and you can check that video out next.